So today I'm going to talk about some of our Spryker GPTs and the way how they can improve the efficiency in the software delivery. I hope that you all are aware about the OpenAI, ChatGPT, possibility to create some custom GPTs, because the whole my speech and some short demos will be around it. So the first GPT is in our list is called the QA Assistant. The QA Assistant GPT was mostly designed to help developers or QA engineers or even product managers, product owners with the two main points. The first point is identifying the dependencies between features, Spryker features. It is mostly about the Spryker features and the dependencies between different modules. And the second main point of this GPT is that it can guide you, it can help you in your testing process by providing a comprehensive set of testing checklists designed by QAs per specific Spryker feature. Why we have created it, yeah? We can build something, but what problem, yeah? What problem I'm trying to solve? At some point, while you are working on different parts of the systems, developers may become an expert in some specific areas like ACL rules, publishing, sync, some PSP integrations, and so on. But at the same time, it may mean that you become less familiar with some other parts of the system or features. Now let's imagine that we have a Spryker developer, or no matter kind of developer, John. John has not been working with the card feature for a long time, and now he is tasked to make some changes in this functionality. As John is not really familiar with the card functionality, at the end he may ask himself two questions like, what dependencies, what features I should take into account when I will do my changes, and at the end, how can I make sure that my changes have not introduced some new issues. And here comes the Spryker Dev QA custom GPTs. Let's see it in action. Please let me know if you see ChatGPT.
Yes, we do. I see the Spryker Dev QA Assistant.
Spryker Dev QA Assistant. It is exactly how it looks like. Like no surprises. The common way how you work with ChatGPT or custom GPTs. It has some basic description of what it is about and few of conversation starters. To save some time, I was chatting with this GPT yesterday. Not to wait while it will generate some responses, and you may know that from time to time, something can happen like this. Yeah, your internet connection is not so stable and it cannot load your conversation. I hope that now everything will be okay. Loading. Oops, there was an error. Am I still there, guys?
Yes, I mean, I can see you. Your video feed also looks actually pretty good. So
it looks like ChatGPT is down.
It is overloaded because everyone is asking a lot of questions all over the world. Okay, finally we have chat history with this GPT that I was playing around yesterday. So I mentioned that I'm John. I need to make some changes again in the card functionality, but I want to understand what features are dependent for this one. And as the result, you see a simple prompt. John received the list of dependent features together with dependent modules. So now I understand where I need to double down to make sure that I have taken into account all possible dependencies. And if, for example, before creating a pull request or passing it to a code review, I want to make sure that card functionality also works. I want to test it on my own machine, but I know nothing about the cart nodes. And if you go next, we can ask for a detailed test exactly on how to make sure that cart functionality still works. And if we check the result, we see that it is a testing checklist exactly for this functionality, which is like I see most probably cart item level, the whole cart, CRUD operations, making sure that they're persistent in the back office, even with three different cart feature permissions. That's most probably it about this GPT, and the main takeaways about it is that it helps with feature dependencies, it helps with module dependencies, and it can provide you a set of testing checklists per feature that you are interested in. Let's move next. The next one is called K6 Assistant. In general, K6 is an open source loading testing tool which is used by developers or DevOps teams to test the performance of the application, website, API. It focuses on ease of use and provides a scripting capabilities for test automation. And now let's imagine that you want to create some kind of a performance test from scratch to check how good your checkout process is, how good your search is, but you know nothing about the K6, you don't know anything about its configuration, different strategies, or even JavaScript. For sure, we can start the research, we can Google it, we can read some official documentations, we can go through different forums, we can create a POC, and it will take a lot of time, in fact, yeah? But what if we just ask our GPT? The interface for this GPT is a little bit different. If we compare with the first one, there were some conversation starters, and in this GPT, we have only one conversation starter, like start to create a test. And if you will use it, I definitely recommend you to start only with this one. The GPT, this one, is designed in the way that you don't need to know in advance, like how to work with it, what data you need to provide, what do I need to do to receive the result. This GPT will guide you with some examples, with further steps. It will ask you additional questions before it will provide you a final result. So just follow the instructions. Again, to save some time, I have created a small example yesterday. I was again chatting with this GPT. The same start, yeah. And in my case, I wanted to create a quick, not dirty, but really quick performance test with K6 to check the guest checkout. To place an order as a guest, we need to use two endpoints, Spryker glue endpoints. The first one is to create a guest cart with some items, and the second one is to check out exactly this cart. So with my first prompt, like it provided me an example, I have provided request in a GRUL format where I intend to create guest cart items. Additionally to the prompt, I have mentioned that we need to use some random integer string for each virtual user. I also told him to use some data from the response in this request for further requests, and it is the first request out of two. First one cart, second one is checkout. With the next prompt, I have provided the payload and all needed information to place an order, checkout endpoint itself. Yeah? And additionally, I have mentioned one more time that in this payload, we need to use the value from previously created variable as the ID for our guest cart. Before creating the test, the GPT asked me to provide some performance requirements. Yep, those performance requirements might be different. For example, the number of virtual users, how long you want to run those tests, different strategies, like you want to ramp up some number of users, or you want to rapidly attack your shop. You want to perform some kind of a load or stress test. In my example, I make it simple. I have asked to make assertions that both requests will not take more than 10 seconds. I want to run 5 virtual users, and the total test duration would be 10 seconds. After processing, GPT generated me 3 files. The first one is a test file, which contains the main logic, the test itself. The second one is like support file, which contains the payload data. And the third one is like just 2 lines, utils to generate the random value, but it is quick solution, yeah? What I have done next, I have just copy-paste everything and put it into my system. I have a shop. I wanted to run it versus my local shop. That's why I put like 10 seconds. Yeah, not to make someone's life harder right now with having a lot of orders somewhere on a staging environment. I wanted to run it, but guess what? It failed. It failed because you unfortunately cannot fully control the result of the ChatGPT and OpenAI. It might make some mistakes. In my case, it was really pretty simple. You see, it imported trends from K6, but in fact, it should import it from K6 metrics. Yeah, might be some outdated data, but it can be fixed. Okay, after fixing this one, I run test again, and it failed again. It failed again, and now the reason was on my side. In my prompt, I have not specified the expected response status code, but the GPT asked me. I just skipped it or forgot, no matter. And instead of just going and fixing it manually, with the next prompt, I have asked to change it to 201 and also they extend the logic if something goes wrong. I want to see the response data in logs to understand what exactly goes wrong. The last version generated in a couple of seconds, and if you ask me, does it work now? Yep, it works. You can see it is a quick and dirty performance test that creates, I don't know how many, 144 guest orders just in a couple of seconds. It added the trends of 2 measures that I was interested in, like response time for creating a cart and response time for the checkout. If something goes wrong, it provides me logs, not really informative, but it is my local environment without much details. So that's most probably it about this GPT. The things that I want to
Anton?
highlight. Yep.
Sorry. There was a question, and I was just thinking maybe it's the best case because that question I think was in reference to the K6 assistant that you shared right now. So Giovanni had the question, or the comment was like that your output could have been generated with ChatGPT. So you provided the whole request JSON and every detail. So his question is like, what is the difference between this assistant, so the case that you currently showed, versus, I guess, GPT in general? But maybe it's going a bit above my head, so I'm not sure if I can transform or.
Yep. I got the question. Yep. If you compare with the first one, our DevQA assistant has, I would say, internal knowledge about the Spryker itself. Yeah, the knowledge that we can control, like feature dependencies, testing checklists, and so on. In general, K6 assistant doesn't have some specific knowledge base about the Spryker. In fact, it can be used for any kind of endpoint. The biggest value is how this GPT is designed. It guides you. It guides you with like step-by-step instructions. It asks you what kind of endpoints you want to test. It asks you about the dependencies between each of them. So, in fact, in general, yep, you can achieve the same result using just a regular ChatGPT, any kind of. But you need to spend some time on designing a really good and good prompt. Yeah, prompt engineering. We need to design. You need to really spend some time on designing the good prompt. With our GPT, it is already just asking you a questions. It guides you, and you following the instruction, receive the result.
Okay. So to sum it up, it's basically more streamlined because we already put the effort into the process. So it's more guided in the sense of like just follow these steps.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It is more guided.
Cool. Thank you.
Last time to highlight, I was able to get the simple performance test, which generates hundreds, thousands of orders just in about 3 minutes, knowing nothing about K6 or even, I don't know, JavaScript and so on. Really time saver. And the last but not least, for today, GPT is called Cypress End-to-End Assistant. Some time ago, we started to adopt Cypress as one of the end-to-end testing frameworks in our process. And as always, when you start to work with a new tool, you need to read the documentation, think about the project structure, architecture, some rules, conventions, best practices, and so on and so forth. And only then you start to build some real tests. In order to make the onboarding process to the Cypress tool easier, we have created this GPT that can help developers or QA engineers with Cypress best practices, guides, instructions, real examples, and architecture. This GPT is based on GitHub repository, which is a public one under Spryker project organization. And for those of you who prefer like old way, yep, I want to check everything by myself through the code, you can always refer to this repository. This repository illustrates and has examples of like some real tests for marketplace B2B shop, how to place an order through the ifs, do the same through the API, how to automatically verify the response versus the schema, how to process orders, how to run some CLI commands from within the tests, managing environment variables, fixtures, and so on and so forth. So if you prefer the old way, you can always refer to this repository, and don't forget to check the wiki section. It also contains used plugins and libraries, some linters, some reporters, a lot of helpful information. But if you don't want to Google it, if you don't want to jump between different files, if you want not just to see the code, but you want also to get some guidance, some explanation of like what this code do, you can exactly use this GPT. This GPT has a knowledge about Cypress best practices, our Spryker best practices, guides, architecture. It has a knowledge, the full knowledge about this specific boilerplate repository, and it can help you with like general questions, with specific questions. It can provide you instructions, guides. It can help you with examples and how to build your tests. Again, to save some time, I also have a small chat with this GPT and returning back John wants to start write Cypress tests, and the first question is like, why do I need to write those end-to-end tests? What are those end-to-end tests? And this GPT helps you to find an answer on this question. Later, John wanted to try it locally using the Spryker marketplace B2B demo shop, and he wanted to integrate it into the Spryker Docker SDK. And as the result, we have a detailed instruction on how to achieve it just from one place without jumping between different files, different documents. Later, John or I wanted to get an example of some test. In my case, it was like place an order through the Glue API, and this GPT provided first the support files, custom commands, that I used to place an order. It provided the test itself and the places what needs to be replaced, and it also provided the breakdown and explanation about other supporting Cypress commands which are used in this test. So up to you of what to use Spryker Cypress end-to-end assistant, or you can always refer to the Cypress boilerplate repository. Things to highlight about this GPT: it contains the knowledge in one place, Spryker, best practices, Cypress, and about real examples. It illustrates the page object models, and it guides you through your journey from the beginning. That's most probably it from my side. I hope you enjoyed.